Hello everyone, a little bit of a weekend update to explain to you a little bit what we should be looking for and what we should be thinking about. Welcome to my channel, welcome to the Smart Investor. Smart Investor meaning that you want to make sure that you know exactly what's going on and you make up your mind, okay? Mostly I am here to educate. This is crucial for you to understand that point, because once you have education, then obviously you could decide what's important to you, what works and what doesn't work. That's the most important thing. We we don't try to predict the market. Right? Nobody could do that. Nobody could predict where stocks are going to go up, they're going to go down. They're going to go up, they're going to go down, but nobody knows exactly when. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to take advantage of the market, my friend. Take advantage of the market. That is the best way to make money in this market. But what do I mean by taking advantage of the market, right? Well, what you need to know is you need to get in the mind or understand as to what it is that they're thinking is happening. Not so much what's really happening, but what they think is happening. For example, so weekend, market is opening up again on Monday. Hopefully we'll make some money there. The question is, and we hear lots and lots of pundits out there about stock market crash. The market's going to crash. It's going to crash. It's going to be bad. Blah,
The
blah,
U.S.
blah.
economy is in a lot of trouble. I think we're poised for a unprecedented economic collapse based on the fact that the markets have prematurely celebrated the Fed's victory over inflation.
Let's think about this for a second, right? Let's think about this. First of all, crashes just don't happen like that for no reason. Think of it this way. Remember, this is not a science. This is a quasi-science. So if this was a science, even for a science, if you're going to have a heart attack, it usually means that there was some sign. You maybe ate too much of this, you did too much of that.
So do you think all hell is going to break loose?
Something is definitely gonna give, and I get the sense that something's going to give in the next few months, and then all hell breaks loose. This is United States of America in recession. Everybody's getting fired across all industries, and it's happening really fast.
You went the wrong places, you did something, and the signs are there if you know where to look. And that is the issue. Investors do not know what to look for. Why? Because, well, the fact that you're listening to me, right? Hopefully I'm on the education side and on the prediction side. But the fact that you're listening to me and to lots of pundits, basically, maybe you're getting your eyes off the ball. Now, if lots and lots and lots of people watch you, then you're hearing a certain type of ideas, of views. And what is everyone doing right now? I mean, you should listen to know at least what people are listening to, right? So you make sure you're not going that right. But what's a big deal? What's a big deal over September 18? Is the Fed going to raise the rate? Is the Fed not going to raise the rate? Well, they're not going to raise the rate because they said so. No, what they said is they are going to lower the rates. So you know already they're going to lower the rates. Okay. But now we want to know, is it going to be 25 basis points? Is it going to be 100 basis points? Which one is it going to be? Well, obviously it's got to be 25 basis points. Why? Well, first of all, they're kind of inkling at it. And frankly, it doesn't look like the economy is doing so bad when you look at the numbers. Look at all my previous videos. You could see that really, unemployment is up a little bit, but it's not a big deal. The signs in the economies are more or less positive. Yeah, unemployment went up, but keep in mind that unemployment went up. It's really a notion and in fact the Fed kind of said it, is that there's more people coming into the workforce, immigration and things like that. Let's not get too political. But the point is, so from the unemployment side, it is not a big deal. I mean, the economy has been slowing down. It has been slowing down, but from 4 to 3, I mean, it's still growing. I mean, we still have claims got revised, but it's still pumping lots. I mean, look at my previous videos, and you're going to see that we still have a strong, or at least a decent economy. We don't have a recession right now. Nobody's getting fired, or at least not to that same extent. So everybody's looking at this. Well, okay, then in that case, if we feel there's going to be a recession, then some of the even some of the Fed officials, because they kind of split, saying, you got to cut the rates. You got to cut the rates more, because we usually, and if you look historically, yes, that is a fact. The Fed always got it wrong. I think they got it only one right in 1995, basically by cutting rates, trying to manage the inflation, and at the same time fix the recession, no recession. But most of the time they got it wrong. So everybody's saying, you're going to get it wrong. So let's talk about this some more. Let's discuss it. Let's explore. Let's invite guests that are telling us that the economy is not doing so well and we need 100 basis points. Obviously, because it's a political environment, you're going to tend to one. If you're on the right, you're going to say, well, yeah, that's right. The Fed, oh my God, the economy is no good. So you got to get Trump in there because Biden is doing such a bad job.
When inflation skyrocketed during their time in office, their job is to blame everything else. The dog ate my homework. I just remember as inflation skyrocketed, all we heard from Powell, Yellen, and Biden was don't worry about it. When it started getting going, it was transitory, and not till it was a real big problem did they start getting their act together. And what's the first thing they did? It was the Putin price hike. So it's always somebody else's fault.
If you're on the other side, which kind of the Fed is, even though it was hired by Trump, you're going to say, well, you know what we should be doing? We should actually lower the rates just a little bit because the economy is doing just fine.
But we're not quite there. We've got to remember what happened during the 70s and the 80s when they started cutting interest rates and putting more money in the economy. Inflation soared again. And then we had a double-dip recession in the early 1980s. So we've got to be aware of that as well.
Yeah, and that led to Paul Volcker getting appointed the Fed chairman to reverse what Arthur Burns had done because he had gone too far. You're quite right to remember that.
So then Biden and Kamala Harris could say, look, I mean, things are not that bad. Even the Fed is saying so. So what are you saying? And back and forth. And meanwhile, you're in the middle, right? You try to decide, so what do I do? Because after all, this is a big, important topic, right? Because if you get it wrong and you cut the rate once and then there's a recession, now you're going to cut the rate more, then the stock market is going to collapse. But are you looking at the right way? The person's having a heart attack. Do you realize the person's having a heart attack? Are you looking at the right symptoms? Are you looking at the right indicators? Maybe we're already having a heart attack. What? No, the stock market hasn't crashed. Hold on. It's not just about the stock market. Do you realize that there's a huge amount of inequality in the world? Wait, hold on. What are we talking about? Hold on. A lot of countries, including the US, have seen the elections upended because of the large inequality between the rich and the poor. The last time that happened, it was World War I. And what did we have to resolve? A war. Grabs everything and start again. And we had a Second World War. Again, it's starting again now, right? The rich have a lot, the poor don't have much, and it's spreading, right? That's why, Trump was quite successful a couple of years ago to get elected because of that. That is why we had Brexit. They didn't want any more foreigners coming to their countries. Were they right? Were they wrong? It doesn't matter. The point is that they are feeling squeezed. So maybe something is going on there. Something is already happening. Maybe you don't feel it in your family, but some people are complaining a lot about the fact that things are more expensive. And they say, well, not really. Inflation is under control. Well, hold on. Which inflation are we talking about? The CPI number? Yeah, but I don't drink oil, right? I don't have a car, and I don't have a car, and I live with my parents, or I don't have a rent, or I don't pay that much rent, or whatever. But my food is getting more expensive. I got kids, so I'm getting hit with this inflation business right now. I'm crashing, technically speaking. So maybe something is going on at that level. It's the elections, right? And depending who's on power, who becomes president, it's going to impact obviously the economy and potentially wars in the world. I mean, right now, Putin is out there fighting with the Ukrainian, and the longer they keep fighting, now they're going with the Chinese and North Korean. How are you going to manage this thing? I mean, you got to stop that war. Maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. But the point is, all this is impacting us in many ways, right? If people were happy, maybe Trump would have never been elected. If Trump is not elected, therefore, he's not going to stop the war in Ukraine, like he said he will. You don't stop the war in Ukraine, what happens? Well, maybe there's going to be some sort of, because the Russians are going to go with the Chinese. Now you have the Chinese plus the North Korean plus the Russian against us. I don't know. Maybe Trump got elected. He tried to stop it. He can't stop it. He said something wrong, and then before you know, we have World War III. So these are that's a major crash if you think about it, right? So you have to start thinking above the fray. The thing that you have to realize is you need to worry about what you don't know. That is how you make money in the stock market. How do you think Michael Burry made $500 million? Because he betted against the housing market. That's right. How do you think Fitznagel made 4,000% in 2020? Because he knew we were going to close the country, my friends. He knew that. How did he know? Well, he saw it and he hedged. He bought a hedge and he made lots of money. So be careful. Be very careful to focus too much on what everybody's talking about and listening. And it's like you're in a tennis game, right? They're bing bong, they're going back and forth, and you're watching the game. You're just watching that little ball going back and forth, back and forth. Maybe you shouldn't be watching that ball. Maybe you should be watching that plane that's flying over the sky. That is probably more important. But that's the problem. Most people do not watch. Most people listen to exactly what the algorithm is telling you to watch. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to give me a like or two. That's always helpful. Think about that for a second. Now, the other thing you need to think about. So maybe we don't have a stock market crash, right? Right now, we don't. But we certainly have an economic situation going on, right? Don't forget, that thing is still looming in the background. 35 trillion national debt. And that's not just with us. All the other countries are doing the same. We keep refinancing. When that's going to crash, that's going to be a major doo-doo. Of course, because you cannot be elected by telling you're going to have fiscal responsibility. Nobody wants to hear that. So it's happening. The signs are there, right? You want to know the signs. That's the sign. That's a big sign. Now, of course, this will only happen once the market realizes that we're not going to be refinanced. Now, when that happens, I don't know. Because the people refinancing also knows that if tomorrow they say, that's it, I'm cutting the spigot, you're going to have a crash. They know that. The people that are buying out debt. And don't forget, we need 1 trillion every year, almost. So you need that fiscal responsibility. Again, do not listen to what everyone else is talking about. That is important. So okay, fine. Smart investor, what do I do? What do I do in this situation? Okay, there's maybe a crash coming. Maybe the signs are there. Well, signs are there. Forget inflation. Forget the Fed. Forget all that. I'm talking about inequalities. I am talking about the national debt. Right? You don't hear too many people talking about that. Yes, Kamala came up with a plan, which is interesting and is paid for by raising taxes. Okay, so let the rich pay for it. Most of the things that she's offering are probably not going to go through. Trump, on the other hand, is offering a bunch of other things, right? That could be right if he's able to pull it off. Although sometimes he won't be able to, especially if he doesn't have the Senate and the House, blah blah blah, like he did when he came in. They're gonna have him a horrible time. The point is that all these people are gonna go back and forth, and meanwhile, nobody's talking about the debt. Nobody's talking about inequalities. Nobody's talking about what's going on really in the world, right? Do you hear Middle East? You're not worried? Maybe it's going to go away? I don't know. The signs are there. Remember, you do not have a market crash without sign. It just doesn't happen on Monday morning for no reason. All the signs were there. We just decided, you know what? Now we have a problem. It's like somebody picking on you, picking on you, picking on you. I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. Now I care. How come you didn't care yesterday? I was bullying you all yesterday. Now today, that's it. It's just like one too many times. And that is what you need to worry about. And that is how you make money in the stock market. By doing what no one else is doing. By looking where no one else is looking. So where do I look? Where is this? Sometimes it's staring you straight in the face, but you don't want to see it. National debt. I don't want to hear it's too complicated, it's too large. Anyway, they're going to keep refinancing. Fine. But what if it's the problem? Right? Because right now, any smart investor, it behooves you to protect yourself. Now, you could do it to make money a lot, like Michael Burry did with the financial crisis and the mortgages, or when Spitznagel did with COVID. You know, you just bang it out a lot of hedges, meaning you buy long dated protection, 2 year out on the SPY, and you keep paying until you wait for it to collapse 20-30%. You can make lots of money that way. Then again, maybe it doesn't happen. But don't you want to protect your portfolio just in case it does happen? Right? Because don't forget, if it does happen, your options will go up in value a lot. You will make a lot of money. And then obviously the market has dropped and it becomes cheap to buy. And then you're buying when everybody else is selling. Made a lot of money in 2008 when the market collapsed. Why? Because no one wanted to buy Merrill Lynch, all this, and look, market went back up. Huge amount of money. But you've got to be daring enough. And why do you need to be this way? Because, and that's what's very upsetting to me as an educator, I want you to learn to understand what's happening, to protect yourself. Do not let them take advantage of you. Do not let them think that they know what's going to happen, and then if you listen to them, then you're going to be okay. No, because everybody listens to the same thing. You need to open your mind. What you need to learn a way to think. That is how you make money in the stock market. You need to develop your own appreciation for what's going on, what the trend is, what no one is talking about. That is what you need to think about. Because right now, the wind, not that you can't make money in the meantime, right? Because right now, I think if you buy some, for day traders out there, I mean, the market is going to go up probably until September 18th because they're expecting, the Fed to do what they say it was going to do. Now, of course, the market can be capricious, right? If they don't give those 4 cuts, right, the market's going to be very upset, and then you're going to have a crash. So you can make money on the way up right now. Maybe, I don't know, if you're daring, you could buy some options, and you figure, hey, volatility is going to be there until September 18th. And if they do what they said they were going to do, excellent. Then the market is going to keep going up. Now, of course, and this is what you have to be careful, because remember, the Fed will potentially hand out to the next president either a recession if they don't cut, or a great economy if they continue to cut to stop the recession. Is he politically driven? Does he want to help the Democratic Party? Because if he wants to do it, he just keeps rates at 25 bips, let the whole thing collapse, let the recession sets in, and then when Trump comes into it, look, he didn't do so well, isn't he? Do you think he'd be capable of doing something like that? Is the Fed independent? We'll find out. The issue is, obviously, if you know what's going on within the Fed, you will know that right now they have kind of split ideas. Some of them feels we should have done it already because of historical perspective. If you look at the history of recessions, it's never good when you cut rates that much, that fast, and you don't bring it back right away. The other ones say, but this is different. This is different. This is not the usual economy. We went through some weird situation with COVID and supply chain. It was not that people didn't want to work or they weren't allowed. So I think it's going to be okay. I don't think so. Historically, it never worked out that way. So the issue you're going to have is you're going to have to choose between the two at that point. But between now and then, things are going to happen. The market is going to go up. The market is going to go down. There's going to be lots of things happening, and you can benefit from it. But you need to understand, no, what's happening now. Maybe right now we're in a recession. Right now. You may not realize it. Maybe you know people that are looking for jobs. I know some of my students are looking for jobs, and they can't find jobs for the first time. I don't know if it's coincidental. Maybe they didn't network enough. Maybe they didn't look for the right place. Maybe they weren't lucky. I don't know. I can't tell you what's really going on in the market right now because I don't know, at least in the economy. All I know is what people are saying, and what people are saying most of the time right now, they're saying that, you know what, we're having a very slow down. It's a managed slowdown. It's controlled. It's okay. We're going to pull it off. He's going to be in the Hall of Fames because he's going to manage to squeeze the economy, squeeze the inflation without killing the economy. Is he going to be able to do it? We're going to find out soon enough. But what are you going to do? Fine. Maybe you have a plan now. You listen to me. You have this plan until September 18th. What if there is a recession after this? Right? What are the signs? The thing is, I will say this. The more they talk about it, the more they think recession, no recession, recession, no recession, inflation, rates. The more they talk about it, the more the market digests the information, and it reflects in the pricing. It's being reflected in the price. So won't worry about it too much. It's what you don't hear that you need to worry about. It's what you don't see. And why do you not see? Well, I mean, if you're listening to me, you probably see, well, maybe we should think about this 35 trillion. Not many people are seeing it because when you look at, scan all the, the channel and YouTube and social media and all that, see what the main topics are. You're not being bombarded with $35 trillion. You're not being bombarded with the inequality, people are unhappy because of the inequality between the rich and the poor. In the market, I'm talking about. Mostly you're hearing the Fed, small caps, rotation trade, value trade, recession. You keep hearing the same topic. As long as you keep hearing those topics, the market, worry about what they don't really talk about. If tomorrow we don't talk about recession anymore, worry about the recession. That's the ticket. So, what's the point here? The point is, don't forget to subscribe and like it, okay? And of course, join my Patreon channel. Okay, join my Patreon channel because there I'm giving you exactly my portfolio. I'm also sharing with you some interesting insight that I have discussing with some of leaders on Wall Street via my podcast. So we could do that. We could talk about it. So you have a little more detail in Patreon that I could give you on the YouTube channel. Everybody's got to make some money or more money. The point though is, I just, even if you don't join the Patreon channel, I want you, I'm still very eager to educate you in the ways of thinking. And I'm not the only one that's saying that. I mean, think of a guy like Marcus Aurelius, for example. Remember him? right, from Gladiator. He was the boss of the Roman general, and basically Marcus Aurelius did exist, and he said that you should not read so much. You shouldn't read other people's ideas. Make up your own mind. Understand what's happening. Learn on your own. Look at Socrates. I don't want to get too philosophical on you, but think about what Socrates said. Socrates says, I know that I don't know. Socrates was like Larry David, always asking questions. What's going on? What's happening here? What's happening? Always question everything that's happening. Always understand and figure out where you are, because that will help you. That will help you situate yourself. And why you do all this? Because you don't want them to take advantage of you. How do they take advantage of you? Well, the more you listen to these things about buy this, do that, don't do this, do that, you see them playing balls back and forth, you're feeding them. You're feeding them and you're listening to them. And are you really spending your valuable time in the correct way here? Are you really thinking about what's happening? That's what you need to be doing. You need to make up your own mind. You're helping them, and obviously if you say, oh, an NVIDIA $3,000, let me buy, great, because he's got NVIDIA in his portfolio. You're buying NVIDIA, you're helping him or her. You need to be your own person. You need to protect yourself. You need to detach yourself to be your own person, and money is freedom. And you can make the money. It is possible. You have to beat them at their own game. Remember, do not let them take advantage of you by understanding what's happening. In this particular instance, be always worried about a potential stock market crash caused by what no one is talking about. Remember what I'm telling you today. Remember, when we have this crash, well, first of all, we had a crash on August 5th, right? Was anyone talking about the Japanese trade on Monday, on Sunday, or Friday? No, you didn't even know that the Japanese was withdrawing its liquidity. Well, you didn't know. But some people knew, right? Because somehow, for some reason, Warren Buffett unwinded his Apple and his position in B of A somehow, miraculously, in July, August before. Just think about that. That is the way. That is the way forward. That is the way you become and you make money and you become independent. But you got to understand the rule of the game. You need to understand the player, and you need to make up your own mind. See you Monday and see what happened in this crazy market of ours.